Hello and welcome everybody to another StarCraft 2 game cast by Glitch. This is going to be a TVP on Typhon Peaks. Now, this is Game 3 in the series of TSLPuMa versus STSquirtle from the NASL Grand Finals. We are currently 1-1 actually in this series right now. TSLPuMa was able to take Game 1 with a very nice one-base push, and STSquirtle was able to take a very nice win off of Puma in Game 2 with a very nice timing attack with a lot of zealots and a lot of sentries, and was able to take TSLPuMa right before he took his third. So we are currently 1-1. That means we are in Game 3, and this match is going to determine who takes the series and who takes the best of 3. So I'm actually very excited to see this match. As I mentioned in one of my previous games, in one of the previous games of this series, I actually did attend the NASL, but I was unable to make it in time for this series. I actually showed up late on the first day, so I didn't actually get to see this series of games. So even though I know who won, I don't know actually how the game went and how good of a game it was, so I am hoping here for an excellent game in Game 3. I always love it when a best of 3 goes into a third game, just because, well, I was at NASL for MLG for this past weekend, and so many of the games were just 2-0s. Most of the time, one player would just stomp the heck out of the other player, and they would just 2-0 them. But anytime we go into a Game 3, there's a certain excitement. Both players know that they have taken one win off of the other player, so both players are very excited and know that they're capable of taking a win off of the other player, and just the energy that comes from a Game 3 in a best of 3 is just incredible. I always love to see the play, love to see the styles of play, so I'm hoping for an excellent game from these two players. Looks like STSquirtle is now sending out a probe, managing to do a little bit of SCV harass in the base of TSLPuMa, and Puma is sending out an SCV of his own to scout the base of Squirtle. Now, they have spawned cross positions on this map. This is always an interesting map to play on, just because the center becomes a very critical part of the map. If you'll notice, the pathing on this map by ground kind of makes an X. To get to any of the other bases, you need to go to the center of the map. So by controlling the center of the map, you essentially control all the pathways of this map. So it's definitely a very good idea to always have these Zelnaga towers on this map, as it really just does control all the unit flow and all the unit movement of the ground forces in this matchup. So, both players now going for, so far, just some standard play. We do have, in STSquirtle base, we have 2 gas geysers up now. We have Warp Gate now coming up. We've got a sentry here, or a stalker rather, being chrono boosted out, as well as a sentry for STSquirtle in the base of TSLPuMa. TSLPuMa has gone for a factory and is now producing a Hellion. If he's going to use this Hellion in the same way as he did in Game 1. He's going to be using it as a scout unit. Hellions make for excellent scout units. They're very, very fast, very mobile, able to scout a lot of positions. And I'm actually often surprised why Terran players do not do this more often. It's very common for Terran players to take their factory, they build their factory, and kind of use their factory as kind of a gateway into getting the starport. They kind of just use it, they kind of get it in passing on their way to getting a starport, and that's it. But by popping out one quick Hellion, you're able to get a lot of really early map control and scout a lot of positions. You can even set them to patrol many bases at once, and they will quickly move between bases, and so you can know exactly when your opponents are expanding for just 100 minerals. It's a very, very fast scout unit. Looks like STSquirtle is going to prevent any kind of scouting information, though, of that Hellion by placing that force field on the ramp, and we're actually seeing a hidden Twilight Council here going down in the back corner of Squirtle's base, and he's now throwing down a couple more gateways. So this suggests to me he might be going for Dark Templar. We might see, and yes indeed, we actually have a Dark Shrine coming up now, ladies and gentlemen, so we are going to see some Dark Templar. Oh man, this is an exciting game already. 3 gateways are now being morphed into warp gates. Looks like we have a probe here getting in position to place a pylon, but oh my god, look at this game sense by Puma, sending this early Hellion to scout the entire map. He has now brought it down, and he has now scouted that pylon, so he has forced a cancel of that pylon from STSquirtle. Absolutely amazing game sense there by Puma, just very, very careful and deliberate play. He is scouting everywhere, checking for proxy pylons with this one Hellion. Again, the Hellion, just such a good scouting unit. Terran players do not do this often enough. An expansion command center has now gone down for TSLPuMa. Looks like he's going to be expanding fairly soon. He does have a starport up, no add-ons yet except on this one barracks where he has thrown down a tech lab and has gotten that early concussive shell. Other than that, he is trying to turtle up just a little bit. He has thrown down a bunker with some Marines, has a couple of Marauders now coming out onto the map, but looks like he's now getting a medevac. Looks like he's going to be going for some drop play, maybe. As I said earlier, with ground forces on this map, your ground forces are forced to go through this middle path, so there's a lot of opportunities for your opponent to scout attacks just because they can control these Xel'Naga watchtowers, which, by the way, are covered in grass, so you cannot see if you were just passing through. You will not see a unit on that Xel'Naga watchtower. But by air, you can drop units all over the place, and your opponent will not see them coming, so air is always a good choice on this map. Now, 2 Dark Templars have finally been warped in for STSquirtle, and it looks like he is going to be sending them into the base of TSLPuMa, and TSLPuMa's supply depot is currently down right now, so he is not going to know. I don't think there's any kind of detection currently in his base at all. He does have some energy coming up on his command center, so both players are about to do some damage to their opponent. Looks like we have a drop coming into the natural for TSLPuMa. And these Dark Templar are going to sneak around the back. These forces for TSLPuMa have started to move out. They were scouted by that Stalker, and in the meantime, these Dark Templar are moving in, and they just barely nudged that Marauder and then just squeezed into the base of TSLPuMa. He has not yet seen all of these units, and the Dark Templar are now in the base, and holy cow, check out that reaction speed by TSLPuMa. The missile turret instantly starts to go down. In the meantime, looks like TSLPuMa is going to be dropping into the main of STSquirtle. And so it looks like both players are going to be doing some heavy economic damage. That energy on the orbital command was used for a mule, so he has no scans available to him. He's waiting on the orbital at his natural expansion to have the energy to scan. He does have a missile turret down here, and the drop by TSLPuMa is taking out a lot of workers in the base of STSquirtle. Both players getting a lot of kills on that workers killed count. If we check out that workers killed tab, both players are just about even right now. TSLPuMa still getting more probe kills in the base of STSquirtle, and in the meantime the scan goes down and both Dark Templar do get taken out. So if we check out the workers killed count, looks like we are just about even, so very nice little trade there from both players, able to both do some damage. There's one Dark Templar here now in the natural of TSLPuMa, but that missile turret is going to be able to detect for all those units, and that Dark Templar does get taken out. The ground forces of STSquirtle are now pulling back to the natural. Looks like his natural is getting up and is currently pretty well saturated, though he did lose a lot of saturation in his main from that drop. Scout Factory now moving across the map for TSLPuMa. Looks like he is going to be going for another drop. I love this style of play from TSLPuMa. This is because he just took a lot of economic damage. He knows he just took a lot of economic damage, and so he's going to go for cheap ways of doing damage. Drops are a very inexpensive way of forcing your opponent to use a lot of APM to devote to tracking down, and actually in-game resources as well, as it's going to force additional cannons or pylons placed for scouting of those medevacs. And looks like he's currently busy himself as he is trying to defend against these Dark Templar that are constantly streaming into his base. Looks like he wasn't able to quite kill off that Dark Templar right there, but just a lot of workers being killed all around. 26 workers killed right now for STSquirtle. We check out the Harvester tab right now. He is up by, holy cow, by a ton. 47 Harvesters to 16. So Puma is really going to need this drop to do a lot of damage here, and looks like we do have an attack coming at the front for TSLPuMa, as well as a drop in the main. Scout Factory does now get taken out and kind of drew all the forces of STSquirtle here out to the front. In the meantime, a lot of SCVs going down, or a lot of probes going down right now for STSquirtle. Looks like he's losing a lot of workers. The workers kill count is at 31, and in the meantime all of these forces are moving in at the front of the base of STSquirtle. More workers being killed, all the workers being pulled off the line to attack. lots of damage here being done to these ground forces, and the drop in the main still doing a lot of damage. In the meantime, Dark Templars are coming into the base of TSLPuMa, both players having to split up all their forces and having to make me focus all over the place. Holy cow, there is so much going on right now in this map. The attack by TSLPuMa is at the natural of STSquirtle has now been cleaned up, but these Marines are still doing massive damage, taking out a lot of the pylons in the base of Squirtle. And all the forces of Squirtle now moving up to try to deny as much damage as they can. And these probes really need to not be in this position here. Those probes walked right up to that group of Marines, and the rest of those Marines do get picked up and pulled back. Checking out the workers killed count right now for TSLPuMa, we have 47 workers killed. Oh my god, that is so many workers killed. 27 workers killed, 4-star Squirtle. And checking out the Harvester tab, amazingly, Squirtle is actually up. So despite having lost a ton of workers, he is way up in the worker count. But we cannot forget that these mules for Puma are going to give him a huge economic boost. So Puma now moving across the map is going to scout. So I'm actually curious to see who is going to win this match, and to see who is going to win this match, we are going to have to go into part 2 because this is a bit longer of a game. It is a little bit longer than 15 minutes, so we are going to see who can clean up this series in this best of 3 of TSLPuMa versus STSquirtle from the NASL Grand Finals 2011, part 2 in just a moment.